Hi, welcome to Virtual Connection Weekend. My name is Griffin Tate, and I'm an admissions counselor here at Johnson University, Florida. We're here also with Andrea Archuleta, who's
Hi,
also an
everyone.
admissions counselor and assistant volleyball coach. And we're here with Dr. Kendi Howells Douglas,
Hey guys.
who is the assistant program director for the intercultural studies program. Andrea, do you want to start with the first question?
Yes. All right. First question, Dr. Kendi Howells Douglas. Could you give me a little background about yourself?
Yeah. Gosh, it's kind of hard to know where to start. I am very interested in missions. Went on a lot of mission trips when I was younger, decided that what I really loved was teaching about missions. So went to Asbury, got my doctorate, and taught for 15 years at Great Lakes Christian College. And for the last 5 years, assistant dean here in Florida. And I've been to 42 countries. I've lived in 3 countries, and my specialty is urban ministry. And so I've been to a lot of really huge cities. I lived in Tokyo, Japan for a year, which is the largest city in the world. And I really have a heart for urban ministry. And as our world becomes more urban, I think it's really, really important to prepare men and women to live and work and minister in urban areas. And it's a special skill set if you're not from a city. So I really enjoy, one of the things I enjoy most about teaching is introducing students to the city and to cultures and those kinds of things. So we do a lot of hands-on practical training in my classes because you can read about a city in a book, but it's a different thing altogether to go there and to experience it and to smell it and see it and really experience a city. So we have a lot of fun in the School of Intercultural Studies in my majors, and it's based on my passions for other cultures, other places, other countries, as well as the United States.
Awesome. So with your exposure and everything that you've encountered through that, what would you suggest for expectations for that program for incoming students?
For what? I'm so sorry.
For incoming students, what expectations would you say for the program?
Yeah, so the kinds of students who are interested in intercultural studies tend to be students who already have a natural curiosity about the world and about people. They a lot of times have people in their family from other cultures, maybe an older brother married somebody from another country or something like that, or they've been part of a church that's really active in missions. They've had a lot of mission speakers who've inspired them. They've gone on mission trips. And so lots of times students come in and the expectation is like, we're gonna, get on a plane and go to all these places. And that's not exactly economically feasible nor practical when you're taking other courses. So I like to tell the incoming students in my major that the preparation that they do in their first 2 years of college is the same preparation that everybody in the country takes as a foundation for their upper level classes, which will focus more on the intercultural aspect. But lots of students are so gung-ho when they get on campus and they're like, why do I have to take math and science and all of those other things? Those are all really important courses that will help open up the world to a student. You have to have some basic information about what you're doing and what your own culture is about before you go exploring other cultures in the best kinds of practices, so that we don't do more damage than good when we do go.
And what does the first year at JUFL look like in regard to your program?
Yeah, so all incoming freshmen around the country, like I just said, basically take the same kinds of things, those foundational courses. Here at Johnson, we also have additional courses in the Bible theology department. And so a student could expect fall freshman year to take a course in Bible, an introductory level course, an introductory level English composition course, a history course, perhaps a math or a speech, maybe an intro to psych, and a course that I teach called Encountering Cultures, which is a basic sociology course, introducing students to the world. And at Johnson, Florida, we have the unique aspect of having so many cultures studying together on our campus, which is just super awesome. And you don't find that in every college. You know, you see a lot of segregation in colleges. And so Johnson, Florida, that's one of the things I'm most proud of our school, is how many cultures we have. And studying in the middle of diversity like that is real world preparation. That's what the world looks like. And Christians should be leading out in that. And so, but sometimes it's kind of an adjustment for students. And so learning how to get along with everybody and learning to get where people are coming from culturally is a really important skill set that we teach right out of the gate when you're a student here. And then from the semesters that follow, students will just be adding on to that knowledge base with the math and the science and the speech and the history and all of those things. As an advisor, I try to put in one course each semester in those first 2 years for my students who are intercultural studies students, so that each semester they have something that they are saying, oh, this is gonna for sure, even though those other courses do apply to your life later on, you might not always know how. What you're passionate about is intercultural studies and you just wanna take those classes. So I give you a little taste of that each semester until your junior and senior year, and then you can just load up on them. And we have a lot of fun. And that way you're the most prepared for those upper level courses.
Okay. So would you kind of say this would also fall along with them being successful at Johnson, as long as it's on top of that? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can't write big research papers for me as a senior if you haven't done well in English comp as a freshman fall semester. All of these things I look at them as building blocks. You're learning how to think. You're learning not what to think. We want to give you the tools to teach you how to think on your own. And that really is a skill that has to develop in the typical age group for students. 18 to 22 is a big chunk of time in your life where you are actually gaining the skills to do great thinking. And so we are here to kind of champion that and to guide you on this journey. We know what works because we went to school for a long time, and we know what doesn't work because we all had those classes and teachers that were like, this is not helping. And so every single one of our faculty is committed to doing what works and what we've experienced that works well with students in this time of their life.
Awesome. So what would you say as a part of your program, you know, every program has to do an internship, something along those lines. When can a student coming into the intercultural studies program expect to complete that or be a part of an internship like that?
Right. So in intercultural studies, we have a class that you have to pass with a C or above in order to be eligible to do your internship. And that is, it's a 200 level course. So you could finish that in your sophomore year. And anytime after your sophomore year, you can do your internship as long as you've completed that course successfully. And we do that for a number of reasons. That course gives students a better understanding of like what they're going to encounter in their internship. And leading up to that course, I have requirements in classes that are prerequisite. I'm having problems. Prerequisites. So you have to take certain courses before you can take the course that leads to the internship. And we've designed that very specifically so that we're not just at some point in a student's career just sending them out into another complete culture. They've been learning skills all along, and they've come back to campus to talk about what they've encountered out there so that they can reflect on that, so that they can learn, so that they know themselves better. You know, so I have assignments in my courses leading up to this pivotal course where students have to get off campus and they have to study another culture or another religion. and not in a book. They have to go in a car and go to the place and be there and experience it all. And some students come in thinking, I really love other cultures. I'm not afraid of anything. This is so great. And that very first assignment, they're like, this was harder than I thought it was going to be. They've idealized it in their mind, or romanticized it. And so we have to start at the beginning and get our feet wet and figure out like what freaked you out or what really lit you up. Sometimes students have no idea that they're interested in other cultures. They take Encountering Cultures. I make them that fall freshman year course. I make everybody do an assignment, whether they're an intercultural studies major or not. And lots of times in doing that assignment, when they're experiencing other cultures, they have to observe for 4 hours another culture and write a little paper. And lots of times students will say, I didn't know I was interested in other cultures or how they tick or what they're about until we did this assignment. And so sometimes, they'll switch to my major just because they're like, wow, I didn't even realize this was something I could do and that I was good at and that I enjoyed. And so we do a lot of practical assignments in the School of Intercultural Studies, because the last thing I want to do is have a student prepare for 4 years and then, find out in their internship, or prepare for 3 years, do their internship, find out that this is not for them. And they've, they kind of wasted all that time. Not that it's ever a waste. It's not. But you know what I mean? Now they're going to switch gears because they just didn't know, like, oh, this isn't for me. And it's not for everybody. It's, every major has a specific kind of person, that is drawn to it. And not all majors are for everybody. So we like to just get out. I like to get students off campus to study culture. And in doing so, they find out a lot about themselves.
Great. Yeah. So some of those students, you said it is for them, where do you see them getting jobs now that they've graduated? Or where do you see them working, whether it's in the field, in the mission field, or other opportunities, other avenues for those students?
Yeah, I would say that's the number one question that people ask of me, and especially interested students' parents. So if you're a parent and you're watching this, this is an answer for you as well. I know that's a big concern. I have a college student who I hope someday has gainful employment, and so I get that. My students, I've been teaching for 21 years. And I have students literally all over the world doing all kinds of different jobs. I have students in the Peace Corps. I have students who work for the government. I have students who work for International Justice Mission, which is an organization dedicated to the freedom of all people. So they fight modern slavery. I have students who work in churches as the missions pastor. I have students, of course, who are missionaries on the field, and they do a number of things. Everything from sex trafficking recovery to doing art therapy in India for kids who grew up in slums. They found that doing art therapy can help students, help kids and adults actually deal with their trauma in really, really beautiful and helpful ways. I do have students who went on to be counselors. Specifically, they use the intercultural studies degree to have knowledge about the kinds of people that they would be serving in diverse areas. So specifically, I'm thinking of a student who's in Toronto, Canada, which is the most multi-ethnic city in the world. And she's a counselor. She has a master's and a doctorate in counseling, but she had an intercultural studies degree as a bachelor's degree as a foundation for understanding the kinds of cultures that she would encounter. And we have students who are doing kind of the global community health aspect, which is a concentration, a major in the School of Intercultural Studies. You can get a major in global community health. And they are going into communities that have been hit by some kind of disease. And we're all familiar with this now with COVID and Corona, unfortunately. but there's a need now. I looked a week ago to see what kind of jobs were coming available because of the coronavirus in terms of global community health. And there are tons. So if you have this degree in global community health, you could be hired by a number of government health businesses, like community mental health or community health services that every community has, and they're going into areas. You could help do COVID testing with this degree. You could go into neighborhoods and teach about best practices with COVID, or going into schools to teach about it, social distancing, washing your hands, covering your face, all of those things. And so that's a degree that's really interesting for people who are maybe interested in nursing or something in the health field. This combines culture and health and opens the door to a lot of jobs, both here in the United States, in our cities and countryside. Rural areas are big on having a community person come and teach about a certain practice, or around the world teaching about malaria or Zika virus or whatever. Clean water is a part of that. So really the door is wide open with this kind of degree. One other job that I want to mention is that a lot of top multinational corporations hire cultural brokers, is what they're called. And they help their corporation work with other cultures. So for example, in Japan, IBM is in Japan. They have a cultural broker who's American, who's very well versed in Japanese and Japanese culture. And it helps the employees be better neighbors in foreign places. A lot of the misunderstandings that happen in business are because of intercultural communication. So that's an exciting job, but that I have graduates doing that.
Awesome. And so kind of to wrap this all up, we're going to ask you to brag on your program a little bit. What's kind of one thing that you hear students say is the best part about your program, or maybe a favorite class that they've taken, things like that?
I actually, just this morning, heard from a student who I only had at Encountering Culture. She was an education major. So I don't know if I can quote her or not, but I won't use her name. But she was saying, I had said happy graduation or whatever. And she wrote me back and she said, I just want you to know how important your class was to me. I had no idea how the world worked. I was from a very sheltered home, not in a bad way, but, just we weren't like really pursuing the world around us. We're not very curious. We weren't very adventurous in our food choices, And she said, your class opened up a whole new world to me. And I didn't realize going into education how important it was to be able to understand where people are coming from. And I think that's what I'm trying to do, right? So like whatever you're doing in ministry or in your profession or career, you have to work with people outside of your own ethnicity and your own religion and your own lifestyle choices. And how we treat people is such an essential mark of Christianity, right? And so I think it's really important. It helps people be more Christ-like in this kind of global, cultural, diverse world that we live in. And so that's the thing I'm the most proud of, is when I hear things like that from students who really get like, oh, we need to have cultural competency to live in this world. It's like, yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So I'm hoping that it helps all students be more Christ-like.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Kendi. Andrea, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, that's it.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks, guys. Welcome.
Thanks,
Glad to
Kendi.
meet y'all.
We appreciate it so much.